back. We're talking about the economic stimulus package, and David Levdansky wanted to pick up on something real quickly before we move on.
Just real quickly, true political and economic conservatives believe in laissez-faire, let the market take care of itself, government stay out of it. But what we've seen is an absolute breakdown in the financial system in our country, and government has had to intervene to keep it from collapsing entirely. Because if it did, it would have tremendous, detriment to our economy, to the international economy as well. You just can't let everything fall. And you could debate about you should do a little more of this or a little bit more of that, or change this or change that. But let's not at all forget the fact that laissez-faire economics has been rebutted by both the TARP and the federal stimulus packages.
I want to move on to something else, but laissez-faire economics never existed.
It doesn't.
Never will exist.
Guys, this is exactly what everybody said in 1929, and they were wrong. The
laissez-faire doesn't exist?
The free markets are what drives the economy and drives value creation in society. This problem was created by bad regulation. This problem was created by
regulation.
No. This is Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac were over half the mortgage market, and they were mismanaged, and they were pumping huge amounts of dollars into Democratic politicians like Chris Dodd, like Barney Frank, and Fannie and Freddie.
So they didn't give it to Republicans either?
No, that's mostly Democrats. Fannie and Freddie were the source of the problem because they created this whole derivatives thing and allowed this. It wasn't, and you're right. It wasn't just
it was a underprivileged
fraction. No. That's people. Underprivileged people were a small fraction. It's everybody. What happened in America was a person who could afford a $200,000 mortgage was able to get a $400,000 mortgage. A person who could afford $50,000 got $80,000. A person who could afford $400 got $600. And it was everybody. It wasn't. No one's pointing fingers at any group or anything. But it was the government created this mortgage system that allowed everybody and pumped everybody up to higher numbers. That's what created the problem.
Getting back to the politics of the thing, one of the reasons this passed the Senate is because the Obama administration and other Democrats were able to get 3 Republicans, the two females from Maine, and Arlen Specter of Pennsylvania, to vote for it. And you went off the deep end on that, didn't you?
No, I didn't go off the deep end. We're just weird. No. I think conservatives, people believe that the free market is what drives society, that drives value in society, drives the creation of jobs where most of the people work. People believe that we need to have lower taxes and growth. We're very, very unhappy with Arlen Specter. Conservatives in Pennsylvania feel that Arlen should have stood with us and prevented this disaster from being passed. Instead, he went with the Democrats, and frankly, we can't have a Republican senator from Pennsylvania who's really a Democrat. So it's time for Arlen to go.
I think it's. Let me just correct you on what, or just offer a different point on this, Glenn. You quoted John Maynard Keynes earlier. He once said that free markets begin and end where farmers bring their hay to market and kids sell lemonade at the street corner. That's about what free markets are.
Well, maybe
the reality is that there are institutions that have power and influence. Okay, markets aren't as free as the theory would have us believe, and it is about institutions and forces. And it's, I think, the role of government to try to arbitrate those differences between those competing economic forces out there. Relative to the Senate, understand it was important in the Senate to get more than 60 votes because of the cloture rule in the Senate. Okay, because in the Senate they could filibuster ad infinitum to essentially bottle up her table. So they need the 60 votes so that they could end a filibuster and then move on to considering the bill and any amendments attached to it.
Yeah. Let's talk about what's happening in Pennsylvania. You're chair of the House Finance Committee. This money is coming to Pennsylvania. How is it going to be spent?
Yeah, look, I don't mean to, Arlen Specter isn't my party senator, but I think Arlen takes a look at how this bill impacts Pennsylvania. And the reality is that Pennsylvania is going to be assisted in many ways. There's going to be almost 5 million middle-class families that are going to have tax cuts, and that's the single biggest component of the $790 million stimulus package. About $276 billion of it is going for middle-class tax breaks. Other important funding.
Do you know the details on that?
No. No,
so we don't know what kind of tax. These are federal taxes, state taxes,
federal tax cuts.
So everybody in the United States is going to benefit.
Not everybody, but I think I've read about 95% of the households in the country that pay federal tax.
But this is the $800 billion rebate, right?
We'll have it reduced.
This is the $800 rebate?
Part of it, yeah. So in addition to that, but here in Pennsylvania, we have a tremendous cost with Medicaid, medical assistance. 2 federal state programs where there are entitlement programs for health care. The cost of them keep growing by leaps and bounds, so the feds are going to put some money into that, which is going to be a big help. About $300 million into education. Okay, our special education costs, which are largely a result of a federal mandate from back in the first Bush presidency. The feds give us the mandate, and they give us about 2% of the funding to deal with it. Same thing with No Child Left Behind. So we're going to finally see the feds step up and add some funding for education. We're going to see about $1 billion over the next 2 years for transportation infrastructure in the state, with PennDOT projects, and about another $300 million in local road and bridge projects that are going to meet the requirements for the infrastructure funding as well.
Is the tunnel going to be funded? Is the tunnel construction funded in this?
An additional $400 million will be made available for mass transit. So PennDOT will receive $400 million from the feds for mass transit, and then there'll be a whole process that PennDOT has to go through to program that money for what mass transit projects in the state will qualify.
Because I love this tunnel. The tunnel was originally going to cost about $340 million, and then they had to reduce this. Bottom line is up to about $550 million now. And we all know in Allegheny County that we don't really need that tunnel.
What should we do with it?
We should let it fill with water. Every single train that goes through there is going to cost us money and going to be subsidized.
A stereo system, and we'll have a lot of fun.
Let me make my point though, because this is when money is left in our pockets, all of us as taxpayers and businesses, we make decisions based on what we think we really need for our business, for our family, whatever. We make good decisions that we really look at. We don't always do it right, but we try real hard. When government makes decisions, it's based not on economics, but on politics. And digging the tunnel under the Allegheny River to the north side was all about some political deal with Tom Murphy, and nobody really knows exactly what happened. But it's
Rick Santorum.
And Rick Santorum.
And Jim Roddy.
And Arlen Specter, too.
But if you don't know what happened, why are you accusing them of making some sort of an underhanded deal here? You don't know what happened.
PJ, I'm just saying, we're spending $550 million of our tax money on a tunnel we all know we don't need. And that's the way government invests money. That's why we should keep the money in our pockets and not be... Because the problem with the stimulus is it's like a swimming pool. What we're basically doing is borrowing $800 billion, or maybe it's $3 trillion with taxes and time, and it's like we're taking buckets of water out of the deep end of the pool, and we're sloshing around, spilling it around, and then we're just dumping it on the other side of the pool and expecting the level of the water to raise. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't create value to borrow money and have the government spend it.
We have to take a rest. And as we take a rest, we want you to watch these commercials. They're very important. We'll be right back. Stand by.
The new WPXI.com.